Okay, so can you read that title?
The sun
Stops shining. That's kind of
stomp
a hard word, shining. Oh, look what he's carrying.
a cross.
He's carrying a
Look at
cross.
their armor.
Yeah, crazy armor and big shields, huh?
And do you see their hats? Those are that's like the kind of hat you wear or something.
The kind of hat I wear? I've never worn a hat like that. Those are Roman centurions. And they're called centurions because century means 100. And they would fight in groups of 100 of them. Okay, the sun stops shining. So, you're a king, are you? Roman soldiers jeered. Then you'll need a crown and a robe. They gave Jesus a crown made out of thorns. Can you imagine? A crown made out of pokies poking into your head? Oh, man. And they put a purple robe on him and pretended to bow down to him. Oh, your majesty, they said. Then they whipped him and they spit on him. They didn't understand that this was the Prince of Life, the King of heaven and earth who had come to rescue them. The soldiers made a sign, "Our King," and nailed it to a wooden cross. They walked up a hill outside the city, and Jesus carried the cross on his back. Jesus had never done anything wrong, but they were going to kill him the way criminals were killed. Oh, there's the sign. What does it say?
Our king.
Our King. Boy, they beat him up a bit, didn't they?
Yeah.
They nailed Jesus to the cross. Father, forgive them, Jesus gasped. They don't understand what they're doing. You say you've come to rescue us, people shouted, but you can't even rescue yourself. But they were wrong. Jesus could have rescued himself. A legion of angels would have flown to his side if he'd called. If you were really the Son of God, you could just climb down off that cross, they said. And of course they were right. Jesus could have climbed down. Actually, he could have just said a word and made it all stop. Like when he healed that little girl and stilled the storm and fed 5,000 people. But Jesus stayed. You see, they didn't understand. It was the nails that kept Jesus there. It wasn't the nails that kept Jesus there. It was love. Love for us. Papa, Jesus cried, frantically searching the sky. Papa, where are you? Don't leave me. And for the first time and the last, when he spoke, nothing happened. Just a horrible, endless silence. God didn't answer. He turned away from his boy. Tears rolled down Jesus' face, the face of the one who would wipe away every tear from every eye. Even though it was midday, a dreadful darkness covered the face of the world. The sun could not shine. The earth trembled and quaked. The great mountains shook. Rocks split in two until it seemed that the whole world would break, that creation itself would tear apart. The full force of the storms of God's fierce anger at sin was coming down on his own son instead of his people. It was the only way God could destroy sin and not destroy his children whose hearts were filled with sin. Then Jesus shouted out in a loud voice, "It is finished!" And it was. He'd done it. Jesus had rescued the whole world. "Father," Jesus cried, "I give you my life." And with a great sigh, he let himself die. Strange clouds and shadows filled the sky, purple, orange, black, like a big bruise. Jesus' friends gently carried Jesus. They laid Jesus in a new tomb carved out of rock. How could Jesus die? What had gone wrong? What did it mean? They didn't know anything anymore, except they did know their hearts were breaking. That's the end of Jesus, That's the end of Jesus, the leader said. But just to be sure, they sent strong soldiers to guard the tomb, and they hauled a huge stone in front of the door of the tomb so that no one could get in
Excuse me?
or out. Yeah?
I know this part. I've heard it before. It's so Jesus dies in this tomb,
Yeah?
and then he comes back alive.
That's right. You do remember. That's the important part to remember about Jesus. He is the one who comes back to life. So that's what the next story is all about, how he comes out of the tomb. We'll get to that next.